and welcome! We're so glad you're here. Look, we get it. You've probably tried making gluten-free bread or cookies before, right? Maybe you followed the recipe perfectly, measured everything twice, and then it came out dense as a brick. Or it crumbled into a million pieces. Or worse, it had that weird gummy texture that made you wonder if you accidentally made Play-Doh. Here's the thing, it wasn't your fault. The problem is that most gluten-free recipes treat baking like it's the same as traditional baking, just with different flour. But that's like trying to swim the same way you walk. Different medium, completely different rules. So, what is gluten anyway? Think of it as the construction worker of baking. When you mix wheat flour with water, gluten forms these stretchy networks that trap air, hold moisture, and give bread that chewy texture. It's literally holding everything together. Remove gluten, and suddenly your baked goods have no structural support. That's why they collapse, crumble, or turn into dense hockey pucks. But here's where it gets exciting. Once you understand the science behind what gluten actually does, you can replace those functions with other ingredients. And that's exactly what we're teaching you. You're not here just to follow recipes blindly. You're here to understand the why behind every technique. Because when you know why something works, you can troubleshoot any problem and adapt any recipe. By the end of this course, you'll master the chemistry of gluten-free flour blends. You'll know exactly how hydration ratios affect texture. You'll troubleshoot like a professional baker. No more wasting money on failed experiments. We're building your knowledge step by step, starting with the fundamentals and moving toward expert-level skills. Think of this as your transformation from recipe-dependent to science-empowered baker. We're covering your new gluten-free ingredients toolkit, the ones that actually work. We'll show you how to set up your kitchen for consistent success. Then we dive deep into texture chemistry because understanding hydration is honestly the biggest game changer. You'll learn to build custom flour blends that work for bread, cookies, cakes, whatever you want to make. We'll troubleshoot the 5 fatal mistakes that ruin most attempts, and we'll optimize everything for your wellness goals. Because this isn't just about avoiding gluten. It's about creating food that supports your energy, digestion, and overall health. We're also going beyond basics. Want to make sourdough, pastry, pizza with actual texture? We'll show you how advanced techniques adapt to gluten-free. Here's what makes this different from other courses. We're not giving you 50 recipes to memorize. We're giving you the framework to understand any recipe. Once you have that, you're unstoppable. Ready? Let's dive into your new gluten-free ingredients toolkit. Welcome back. Now that you know why gluten-free baking is fundamentally different, let's talk about your new best friends, the ingredients that actually work. If gluten is the construction worker holding everything together, what happens when that worker doesn't show up? You need replacements. And not just one replacement. You need a whole team because gluten does multiple jobs at once. Let's break this down. Gluten does 3 main things. It provides structure, it traps air for rise, and it holds moisture. In gluten-free baking, we replace these functions with different ingredients working together. First up, flours. Forget everything you know about all-purpose wheat flour. In the gluten-free world, we work with blends. Rice flour gives you a neutral base. Almond flour adds moisture and richness, plus healthy fats. Coconut flour is super absorbent, almost like a sponge, so a little goes a long way. Tapioca starch creates chewiness and helps with browning. Each flour has a personality, and learning these personalities is like assembling your dream team. Then we have binders. These are the secret weapons that mimic gluten's holding power. Xanthan gum is probably the most famous one. Just a tiny amount creates elasticity in your dough. Psyllium husk is another powerhouse, especially for bread. because it absorbs tons of water and creates that stretchy texture. And for vegan baking, ground flax or chia seeds work beautifully as both binders and egg replacements. Now, leavening agents. Baking powder and baking soda still work the same way in gluten-free baking, but you might need to adjust amounts because gluten-free batters behave differently. Here's what most people don't tell you. You can't just swap wheat flour for one gluten-free flour and expect magic. You need combinations. Think of it like a recipe itself. A starch for lightness, a protein-rich flour for structure, a binder for hold. That's the formula. And here's the wellness bonus. Many gluten-free flours offer nutritional benefits. Almond flour supports stable blood sugar. Coconut flour is high in fiber. You're not just baking, you're creating food that works with your body. Let me give you a practical example. Say you're making cookies. You might use 40% tapioca starch for chewiness, 40% almond flour for structure and healthy fats, 20% brown rice flour for a subtle nutty flavor, plus half a teaspoon of xanthan gum to hold it all together. That combination gives you cookies that actually taste like cookies, not sad, crumbly discs. Feeling overwhelmed? Don't be. We're going to show you exactly how to combine these ingredients for foolproof results. Next up, we're setting up your gluten-free baking success system, so you start with confidence from day one. We're talking about the tools, the techniques, the workflow that makes everything easier. Let's go!